What if I told you a single book written by a woman in her living room helped ignite a war and changed the course of a nation? March 1852. A novel quietly hits the shelves across the United States. It's not published with fanfare or political backing. It's just a story about slavery, family, faith, and heartbreak. But within weeks, it explodes. That novel was Uncle Tom's Cabin and the woman behind it. Harriet Beecher Stowe, teacher, mother of 7. And most importantly, a writer who believed that words could become weapons. Within a year, the book sold over 300,000 copies in the US. In Britain, it sold over 1 million. It was adapted into stage plays, parodied, protested, and preached from pulpits. It lit fires in the hearts of abolitionists, sound fear in the minds of slaveholders. Because it did something no speech, no sermon, no pamphlet had done before. It made slavery real. When President Lincoln met Harriet Beecher Stowe at the White House, he reportedly said, "So you're the little woman who wrote the book that started this great war." Harriet was born in 1811 in Connecticut into a family of intellectual firebrands. Her father was a famous minister. Her siblings were preachers, doctors, educators, but Harriet's gift, storytelling. She moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, where she witnessed the pain of slavery up close. There, she saw runaway slaves, families torn apart, and bounty hunters in the streets. Once seen a mother crossing a frozen river with her child would later become iconic in her novel. Harriet lost her own son to cholera. That grief became fuel. She later wrote, "It was at his dying bed that I learnt what a poor slave mother may feel when her child is torn away." When Congress passed the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, forcing free states to return escaped slaves, Harriet picked up her pen and never looked back. She met Elizabeth Cady Stanton, a fellow reformer. Stanton was a radical thinker, Harriet, a master storyteller. Together, they became part of a growing movement demanding justice for the voiceless. They co-founded the National Era and began serializing Uncle Tom's Cabin, turning fiction into a weapon for truth. First published as a serial in the National Era, Uncle Tom's Cabin exploded when released as a novel in 1852. 300,000 copies sold in the US in its first year. Over 1 million copies sold in Britain. Turned into plays, songs, and public readings. In the North, it sparked a moral awakening. In the South, it was banned and burned. Uncle Tom's Cabin didn't just tell a story, it changed the national conversation. It showed that behind every statistic was a human soul. Harriet never led protests or wielded weapons. She simply wrote the truth. In 1862, Harriet met President Lincoln. His famous line, "So you re, the little lady who started this great war, wasn't tea. It was recognition. Her book reshaped America's conscience. In the North, it mobilized abolitionist support. In the South, it was feared more than political speeches. Despite critics calling it melodramatic or biased, Uncle Tom's Cabin endured because it humanized the enslaved. It forced readers to feel an feeling they could no longer look away. Her storytelling pierced the armor of indifference. Even without a platform, without a podium, Harriet's pen became a lightning rod. After the Civil War, Harriet kept writing, but her place in history was sealed. She showed that you don't need to hold a sword to start a revolution. Sometimes all you need is a pen and the courage to tell the truth. She paved the way for women in literature, for faith-driven activism, and for storytelling as a tool for justice. Her characters lived on. Her words echoed in classrooms, sermons, and freedom movements. She was the first American woman to achieve international literary fame, and she never stopped using it for good. Harriet died in 1896, but the wave she started never stopped. Her legacy isn't just historical, it's deeply present. In every young writer who speaks up, in every story that reveals injustice, in every reader whose heart shifts because of words. We ask today, can a book change the world? She answered, yes. So what will we write next? Whose story are we still ignoring? And when it's our turn to speak well, we have the courage to pick up the pen. Because Harriet Beecher Stowe didn't just start a conversation, she started a movement. And it's still moving. If Harriet's story lit something inside you, tap LIKE to keep her fire alive. Share this with someone who still believes words don't matter, because this proves they do. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, where ordinary people change the world with nothing but courage and truth. Because sometimes one book is all it takes to move a nation.